This week's element is element number 9, chunking content into digestible bites. The desired effect of this element is for students to process information in small chunks. Considering this desired effect, teachers should intentionally plan and consider the following. Am I teaching declarative or procedural knowledge? Am I using a pre-assessment? What are the levels of my learners? And how much prior knowledge do my students have? Chunking curriculum effectively requires teachers to distinguish between the declarative and procedural knowledge that may be new to students. If presenting new declarative knowledge, the chunks are comprised of concept and details that logically go together. If presenting new procedural knowledge, the chunks are comprised of steps in a process that go together. A highly effective strategy when considering content chunks is to pre-assess your students. This will allow you to determine the background knowledge your students already have. If the students have a strong background knowledge, you know that your chunks can be bigger. If your students do poorly on a pre-assessment, you know that your chunks must be shorter because background knowledge is limited. Considering the levels of the learners in your classroom could have a direct impact on content chunk sizes. For example, advanced classes could have larger content chunks, while classes with high percentages of ESE or ESOL students may need smaller content chunks. Consideration of differentiation, scaffolding, and pacing is also appropriate when considering content chunk sizes as they relate to levels of learners. Considering the prior knowledge level of students is a must when deciding on content chunks. As previously discussed, using a pre-assessment is a good way to gauge prior knowledge of content. You could also talk with colleagues at the previous grade level or school. High prior knowledge or prerequisite skills leads to larger content chunk size, and low prior knowledge or prerequisite skills leads to smaller content chunk size. The work in professional learning communities provides a great structure to make content chunking decisions. In creating or reviewing the Know, Understand, and Do, or CUD document, decisions on declarative and procedural knowledge has already been considered, and chunks of information have been categorized as knowledge, understandings, and skills. This should be considered the first step in content chunking. Creating a student learning scale further defines the content into smaller chunks of content with increased complexity. It is important to note that as complexity increases, careful consideration should be given to chunk sizes. The final suggested professional learning community document is the unit planner. Note that the third column, Learning Goals/Targets, asks PLC members to agree on the content chunks that will be taught. This is always the first step. It also asks you to consider the following. How long will we teach this chunk? What design question are we in? What materials and text will we use? And what elements or strategies will we employ?